Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boise, and this is Raw versus SmackDown Review, where we look at both shows and we see which show won for the week. So pretty much, we did have an episode last week. I will say we did. It's been taken down by YouTube for now because of a copyright claim from WWE. I have fought against it, and I will find out in the next couple of days if their claim has been justified or not. But let's not worry about that. Let's get on with this week's episode. Before we get started, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, press that bell so we can keep notified with all the content here at Smack Talk Wrestling. Now that's all said and done, let's get straight on with, and let's hit the music. So we started off this week's episode of Raw with Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins. We had the two champions in the center of the ring, pretty much waiting to see who Brock Lesnar was going to cash in. He did say last week he was going to announce who he was cashing in on. And this time Kofi and Seth were not going to wait. They were in the ring. They'll be, and both men were prepared for Brock Lesnar. Brock comes out with a new customized Money in the Bank briefcase, which I like. You don't often get to see it anymore. I really like Brock's boombox briefcase. I think that is awesome. It's nice to have a little bit of uniqueness into this, and I think Brock Lesnar is fully going into this meme he created last week with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So that was goddamn awesome. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar pretty much playing mind games with the two champions till Seth had enough and stormed off, because Brock was playing both Seth and Kofi's music, kind of an indication that he really is just toying with both champions. So yeah, Seth storms off. Brock and Paul Heyman go off as well, because they're saying they're going to keep an eye on the show this week as well. They're staying. And what happens? Dolph Ziggler attacks Kofi Kingston from behind again, and this leads on to pretty much the next part of the show, really. I'm going to give the whole face-off between Seth, Kofi and Brock Lesnar. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. It's very similar to what we got last time, but I really do like Brock Lesnar leaning into that meme-ish he's kind of got himself into, and I really like his custom Money in the Bank briefcase as well. So, like I say, a 2.5 out of 5. Like I say, Dolph Ziggler did attack Kofi Kingston. He was saved by his New Day partner, Xavier Woods, and this led to Xavier Woods and Dolph Ziggler having pretty much a brawl around the whole arena between the two of them. Dolph finally got the upper hand in this brawl using the steel chairs. This lasted way too long in my opinion. I don't mind a brawl going on and everything, but when it's 45 minutes into the show, we didn't get our first match of the night for 45 minutes, because we had the Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston incident, and then this led it on, and it was a big brawl. Like, I was expecting officials to come out and stop it, but no. Kofi did come back out after he was took to the back after Dolph attacked him with a steel chair to chase off Dolph Ziggler. I think someone expressed this probably the best way possible. It was exciting and enough when Dolph attacked Kofi last week, but overexposure of Dolph is feeling a little bit too close to the bone right now. So for me, because it did take a long time for it to get past, and like I said, it was 45 minutes before we got to the first match of the night. It just felt a way too long of a segment. So for me, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 stars. It just a little bit too much time focused on this one big brawl, which really, it wasn't even the champion, it was the champion's tag team partner and the challenger. So again, if it's meant to make Dolph feel like a threat, it really isn't doing that. And what does it do for Kofi? Because it doesn't really put anything on Kofi. It kind of highlights how awesome Xavier is, but Xavier's not in this feud. He's just there to be the cannon fire right now for Kofi. So like I said, a 1 out of 5 stars. Next up we had Shane, and he was competing against none other than Roman Reigns' cousin, not the Usos, another cousin called Lance. Yes, Lance. Yeah, this was interesting. So before the match even started, they talked about Shane cause a heel promo, all this lot. You know, typical heel Shane O'Mac. Talks about Roman's family and everything like that. He's with none other than his latest bodyguard, Drew McIntyre, in the ring. Drew attacks Roman's cousin. They have a beat down, and then he drags Roman's cousin back into the ring. You know, Shane being their typical heel there, going, you know what, let's just have this match anyway. He forces the referee to start the match. Lance fights back a little bit. Shane does not look happy at this point. He starts beating down on Roman's cousin, and pretty much he wins the match. He chokes him out, and then he cuts another promo again, pretty much stating that Roman's father's biggest mistake was having Roman. And then Roman comes out, saves his cousin from Shane O'Mac, beats down on Drew McIntyre. It was just so bad. It was such a bad segment. I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 stars. I don't really want to get any more into it. It was just so poor. Next up we have Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar back in the ring. This was fun. They had a official with him. It looked like Brock was about to announce who he was going to cash in on, and Seth Rollins interrupts Paul Heyman before he can announce who Brock Lesnar is cashing in on. Seth is ready, he's geared up, and so Brock's there smiling. Paul Heyman starts reading the official contract for the cash-in, and this is the brilliant twist, and I think the writing team just did absolutely brilliant. Paul Heyman announces when the date is for when the Money in the Bank actually expires, and it's not until May the 19th, 2020. Brock stops him, tells him to repeat that again, and then he goes, and it's like he didn't know. He's like, I didn't know that. And Paul Heyman's like, yeah, everyone knows it's a year contract to cash in. It just gives that twist of, that serious kind of thing. Brock doesn't watch the product. He does not care about the rules that WWE have created in any way. And now that he's there, he's like, oh my God, I have a year. And he just laughs and walks away. This is brilliant. Brilliant writing, brilliantly played by Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. Seth just looks so frustrated. He's there for he's ready for a title match against Brock Lesnar. He just doesn't want Brock to have that contract for so long. And I think that's what Kofi and Seth were kind of hoping for. That Brock didn't realise he had a year contract. And they were kind of hoping he would cash in anytime soon. But that realisation, he didn't know he had a year to waste. It was just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. This is interrupted by R-Truth getting chased by all the Raw superstars who chase him out, and that goes on to the Uso block pie, which I will mention at the end of this video. But end of the day, brilliant segment, really funny from Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. I actually really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. It just worked so well for Brock. Up we had women's tag team action where we saw the IIconics, the women's tag team champions, taking on none other than Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross. This was quite a standard type of match, but it really, I think, was quite entertaining for me. Nikki Cross again is getting highlighted in these big matches, in my opinion, on Monday Night Raw. She's really coming across as a sympathetic babyface. She has been classed as Alexa Bliss's replacement again in some way, but I don't think that is true. I think we all know Alexa is injured. But yeah, it was a good work. The IIconics really worked Nikki throughout the match. Nikki managed to get some really awesome offensive moves, defensive moves, or not offensive, she's not offensive, defensive moves in there, really work. And it was that hot tag to the Raw Women's Champion, which Becky Lynch, she uses that, she really is ready. And she just destroys the IIconics in very quick fashion, showing her dominance in this division as well. Nikki and Becky get the victory, which was kind of stated at the start of this match, which would happen. That's fine. And then Lacey Evans, she walks down the ramp, does the walk, and back up to the top of the ramp. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. I found it entertaining. The Nikki Cross is more and more impressive every week she's on TV for me. I really like the chemistry between Nikki and Becky Cross. I think they have great chemistry as a partnership. The IIconics, it's just good to see them actually wrestling on TV, even though it's not on SmackDown. They've been focusing more on Raw lately. So for me, yeah, all fine. So like I stated, it's going to be 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had a rematch from last week where we saw Cesaro versus Ricochet. Usually I get really annoyed with these 50-50 bookings. You book one guy to win one week and then the week after the other guy wins. But saying that, when you have matches like this, I don't mind it. Again, I kind of go back on my word on it when it's actually really good storytelling in matching. And Cesaro and Ricochet have instant chemistry. They've definitely worked together in the indies, so I think that has been proven. And they are really good in the ring. I think these guys they can do absolutely nearly anything. Cesaro is just fantastic. Ricochet just pulls off moves you just don't expect to see, and that's the best thing. For me, a brilliant TV match. This could have been a great, if it's a brilliant TV match, it would be a great pay-per-view match. Hopefully we can get to see Ricochet versus Cesaro properly in a pay-per-view kind of surrounding. Maybe give them like a main event kind of stipulation. I would love to see, maybe it's something to do with tables, maybe ladders. Those two could really work it. I would love to see that. But yeah, I'm going to give this match a 3.5 out of 5. It's just so well put together, and both men just have instant chemistry every time they're in the ring together. Next up, we had a Fatal 4-Way match. The winner of this Fatal 4-Way will take on the Universal Champion at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. We had The Miz taking on Baron Corbin versus Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. Interesting that, because obviously we already know that it's going to be Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman taking each other on at Super Showdown. The Miz doesn't have a match yet, and Corbin doesn't have a match. So those two would have fit. Pretty much everyone kind of worked out it was going to be either those two. How was the match? The match was fine. You had Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin being very clever heels, which is, you want to see really, because they have worked together for such a long time. They were teaming up against Braun Strowman, the bigger guy, obviously, and then after they took out Braun Strowman, they made sure they were concentrating on The Miz. Again, smart. For me, this was a good showing from The Miz. He really worked it well. It looked like Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley were, about to either one of them get the victory. And every time Corbin tried to pin The Miz would just get his arm up just in time. This was supposed to be elimination as well. So, Fatal 4 elimination match. So, once you got eliminated, that was it. You go to the back and leaves it to 3, then leaves it to... It was supposed to work like that. Fortunately, we did not get that. Because Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman started beating the crap out of each other. They forced themselves out towards the crowd. Again, this is a Fatal 4-Way, so, anything kind of goes. Corbin... again, that left it kind of like Corbin and The Miz as the last two. I don't know how that worked. And Corbin hit End of Days and he became #1 contender for the Universal title. How do I feel about this? I feel like if you make a stipulation in a match, WWE, and you've already got booked 2 superstars into a match already at a pay-per-view, why put them in this match in the first place? You should have used guys who, you know, who are heels but who haven't got a match just yet. That would have made more sense in my opinion. Having Corbin as the #1 contender, I think, is a very bad move. But let's be honest, it kind of protects The Miz, which is fine. I don't want The Miz going for the Universal title and losing, because he has lost a lot of matches on pay-per-views lately. So it would be nice for The Miz to get a big victory at a pay-per-view, because I think he deserves it. So yeah, it kind of, like, Corbin is the lesser of the evils, I guess, right now. But do we really want him in our main events for titles like the Universal one? Hell no. And the stipulation didn't stick. I'm just going to give us a 2.5, because end of the day, no matter what, the Fatal 4-Way part, when it was actually everyone, like the heels were working well together and everything like that worked well, and The Miz just seemed so good in this match. That was the saving grace. Everything else at the end was just stupid. So I'm going to give it a 2.5. I think I'm just being a little bit generous because The Miz was just fantastic in this match. Next up, we had the Firefly episode. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse has been absolutely brilliant. This time round, we saw Bray Wyatt had like a, you know, one of those paper plates. Masks of the mask he wore last time, which really freaked everyone out. We found out he's what the hell? We found out that pretty much Sister Abigail is the doll and she wants to rest, and Bray Wyatt says, "No, I will never let you rest." Kind of sinister, like, oh my god, maybe there's a soul of someone in that doll and she just wants to rest. And Bray Wyatt is torturing her. Maybe the Firefly Funhouse is actually hell. Did anyone think that? Because that's what I'm getting across. And then she said, "I'm stuck in limbo." Bray Wyatt did the spider walk with kids who looked not happy holding this limbo stick. It was bloody creepy, but it was bloody brilliant. Again, I really love the Firefly Funhouse segment they're doing. I can't wait to see Bray Wyatt actually used as a wrestler again. But while these little vignettes and videos are coming together, I absolutely love it. So for me, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. Just continue making these while having him wrestle would be fantastic. Next up, we had the first ever electric chair interview. This was where Corey Graves would get a superstar. They kind of get them tied up to a electric chair and they get asked questions from the WWE Universe. And this week's one was the critic of the critics, Sami Zayn. As I think everyone knows by this point what happened in this segment, but Sami was really good as well leading up to the controversial thing he did for WWE. I thought it was just brilliant. Pretty much people asking him questions. He was being very aggressive, like asking people, are their parents brother and sister, asking who's the little girl, telling her she was rude. She was quite rude. I do agree with Sami on that one. This guy asking when he's going to retire, and Sami was threatening to punch his face. Then another fan was asking, when are you challenging for the Universal title? I mean, Sami just finally snaps and goes, "You could ask me absolutely anything. This is open. And you could ask me about AEW." And that, again, WWE edited that bit out of a YouTube clip of this, and that caused Seth Rollins to come out. So, aka Vince McMahon dragging the superstar out. I think that was just brilliant. I think Sami calling AEW on that, a shout out to AEW after the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which was absolutely fantastic, was just brilliant. There's like loads of videos saying that Sami got into trouble by Vince and he's in hot water and Vince was not happy. But let's be honest, Vince is not stupid. A superstar won't do that. without someone saying do it. And if it's not Vince, if Vince didn't know about it, then there's going to be one man who possibly did tell Sami to say it, and in my reckoning it's Triple H. I think Triple H told Sami Zayn, look, say it, we're going to get a reaction and it will give us feed as well. Using AEW like that, brilliant. By Sami Zayn just saying that company's name, pretty much put him on the market, got WWE, and a lot of fans kind of, you know, let's be honest, stating that. So for me, I am going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Brilliant bit. And it led to Seth versus Sami Zayn next, which was our main event of the night for Raw. Like I said, it was our main event, and we saw Sami Zayn taking on none other than Seth friggin' Rollins, the Universe. So this was actually a decent match. A lot of people did complain, saying, oh, it wasn't as good as what they expected with both guys. I think it was a fine match. I think it did exactly what it needed to do in this match, and that's because Sami is a great competitor. He's had some really good matches. Look at how he competed against Kofi Kingston, a fantastic match between those two, and I think this was a finely worked match. Mainly, I reckon the main issue for this match, and I don't know if people will agree, was the time restraint. I think they already realised there was like 10 minutes left in the show, and they had to have a, you know, rush kind of lot of it. But I think Sami did a fantastic job. I think Seth did a good job in this one, but it wasn't anything too spectacular. But I think it's because of the time restraint these guys had. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. It's a standard main event for the show, but I think both men, if given more time, will really have fantastic matches. And that moves us on to SmackDown Live. So SmackDown Live, we started off with Kevin Owens cutting a promo. He states he did not, and I repeat, he did not attack Big E last week. He states it's all made up. I hope this is brilliant. I hope this is true. KO didn't attack Big E. I think, how brilliant would this be if Big E is working Kofi, so he fakes an injury, gets a little bit more time to recuperate, then when he does return, he attacks Kofi for the title. Big E turns heel. It might happen. I hope it does, let's be honest. But yeah, KO cuts a fantastic promo. Kofi's not having any of it. He states that Kevin Owens is a liar and all he knows what to do is lie. This led to the match themselves, and they had a decent opening match. It was a short promo, fantastic main match really, because Kofi and Kevin Owens just worked it. They're both absolutely brilliant in the match. Kevin Owens was pulling out moves after moves after moves. 2 frog splashes, and I thought, oh my god, he should have, in my opinion, KO should have won this match, mainly because it could have kept up their feud for later on after Super Showdown. But no, Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise, pins Kevin Owens, and that's about it. Again, I really can't wait to see KO really challenging properly for the WWE title, because for me, he is the top heel in SmackDown right now. He's absolutely brilliant. He works so well with Kofi Kingston. Both guys have chemistry, and it's just a shame that obviously KO's not going to Super Showdown. That's fine. I'm happy that he's not going. He's not selling his soul away, so that's good. So yeah, I'm going to give this altogether, the promos, the match itself, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They came out to pretty much to do an interview, and they talked about how they are the Planet's champions, how they talk about the... Daniel Bryan is absolutely brilliant, and the one thing that he's really good at, he's getting facts and literally telling the truth, but doing it in such a heel way, you just want to boo him. But you know for a fact, actually, he has a lot of points. He also talked about the SmackDown Tag Team division. Him and Rollins stated that the tag team division on SmackDown is an absolute joke, which is very much true, seeing as pretty much all the top guys, all the top teams have either gone or been disbanded now on SmackDown. And that leaves really no competition for the tag team champions. That explains why obviously you had the Usos come back to, to fight Daniel Bryan and Rollins, to make them feel like culpable champions so they could get those titles. But yeah, them telling the joke, and then they get challenged straight away by Heavy Machinery, which surprisingly Daniel Bryan and Rollins accept the challenge, but not in the city they're in. Then obviously they're not that stupid. So that's obviously leading to a pay-per-view at some point. But it kind of, for me, was like, oh, the writers they must really know that the SmackDown Tag Team division is a joke, because they've just sent out a team who's not had a televised match in weeks, haven't won a match in weeks, and they're the #1 contenders. Yeah, exactly. Daniel Bryan is speaking the truth. The SmackDown Tag Team division is an absolute joke. His promo was great, Rollins was great, but Heavy Machinery as #1 contenders? Jesus Christ. I'm going to give this a 2.5. I think mainly the 2 is Daniel Bryan's promo, and the half is Heavy Machinery's #1 contenders. But there you go, guys. Like I say, 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Carmella versus Mandy Rose. She was accompanied by obviously her tag team partner Sonya Deville. Before the match even started, they had Mandy and Sonya Deville backstage handing out her magazines, her fitness magazines, to everyone backstage, giving one to IIconics, backstage officials, and Mandy Rose, who's reading Dr. Jacko and Mr. Hyde. And Sonya Deville just throws all these magazines at her, and that's it. Hopefully, so I was hoping Mandy Rose would do something in this, but hopefully this leads to a feud between Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, or Mandy Rose, and I hope it leads to something. It was good to see Ember Moon on TV, but I would like to see her actually wrestle, because for me, she is the second big baby face on SmackDown, and she really isn't doing anything. This obviously led to Carmella versus Mandy Rose, a semi-okay match. It was pretty much the same match what we got last week, but this time instead of Carmella being in control, it was pretty much Mandy Rose in that position. This was mostly because of her tag team partner Sonya Deville interfering in the match quite a lot. By the end, Mandy did get the win thanks to Sonya Deville's biggest distraction. Mandy got the victory, and pretty much that was that. I think this is a 2.5 out of 5 match, and I know what you're going, hold on, why is this got half a match, pretty much halfway there? Mainly because I think it's building up to something, and it's either we're going to see Ember Moon start doing stuff and teaming up with Carmella between these two, or we're going to see finally Sonya Deville turn on Mandy Rose, which is what I'm hoping for, because I really hope it is, because Sonya has been in quite a lot where she's helping her partner, she's doing a lot for her, and Mandy Rose isn't really doing that much for Sonya Deville. So I hope this is the case. I hope this just leads to Sonya turning on Mandy, and she gets her, gets a stint as being one of the bigger competitors in the women's division, because she does deserve it. So like I stated, it's going to be a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Shane O'Mac Appreciation Night. That's right. This was pretty much Drew McIntyre's idea to appreciate everything Shane has done for us in the WWE Universe. Pretty much, he was accompanied to the ring by Drew McIntyre and Elias. Obviously, his team, his guys. This was quite interesting. Shane talked about how he doesn't do it for the appreciation. He does it because he wants to put smiles on our faces and all this blah blah blah. Pretty much everything you expect for a smirky heel to say. Then he plays a video which is just like him, all the stuff he's done in WWE, like he's jumping off stuff and he's, nearly killing himself and winning the best in the world. That was at the end, and being up the Miz's dad, that was in this video archive collection vignette. And pretty much it was like, yeah. And then Elias goes, Shane, I just look up to you, and he decides to play him a song, but they get interrupted by everyone chasing R-Truth. So they chase R-Truth, he gets into the ring, he kicks Drew Drake Maverick. He pins Drake Maverick. He's still the 24/7 champion. He doesn't realise he's in the centre ring. He sees all of Shane, and Shane just loses it. Him, Drew, and Elias beat down on R-Truth, and Shane just doesn't have enough time. Then Elias, after they beat the crap out of him, pins him and becomes the new 24/7. Shane goes, R-Truth, you interrupted me on my night, so I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. You're going to take on the new 24/7 champion, Elias and Drew McIntyre, and you will be teaming up with none other than Roman Reigns. I'm also going to suspend the 24/7 rule until after the match, so Elias doesn't get bothered. Again, using his power for his team's advantage. Interesting. I thought this was great. I liked that, Elias pinned R-Truth. It was like, oh my god, that's quite heelish there, and I liked the fact they used that well enough. It gives Elias his first championship in WWE, even though it was a short reign. We'll talk about that later. And, it was cool. The fan favourite R-Truth, who doesn't really realise what he's doing half the time and who he's interrupting, getting beaten down like this. Like I said, it was a really good segment. Just the heels playing up on that bit and just attacking a beloved babyface as well. Just works so well. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had Bayley versus Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans come over from Raw as the wild card stipulation. She was accompanied to the ring by her new friend Charlotte Flair. Before the match started on the night, her and Lacey Evans were having tea together in the women's changing room. Of course, that's where you have tea together. Who knows? You might want to go somewhere where there's tables, or like a dining area or something. Somewhere else. Who knows? But yes, we had Charlotte on commentating. I really like Charlotte on commentating. Her and Corey Graves have good little chemistry as heels, where you have Byron Saxton just absolutely getting toasted by both these heels. It's just fantastic to listen to. The match itself was good. Bayley has completely and utterly transformed herself. This is not the same Bayley we had on Raw, and I really do appreciate what the SmackDown writers have been able to do with her in such a short amount of time. Bayley has come across from a shy baby face to just being happy to always being on TV, being grateful to be on TV more like, to a smart, intelligent baby face champion, and she just works it so well. Lacey Evans and her, Lacey controls the match for a little bit. Bayley starts working back. That's which is really great. So the fans really get invested. It looks like Charlotte's getting in Bayley's face. Bayley punches Charlotte. This distraction from the referee, it looks like Lacey Evans is pinning Bayley. She manages to turn it round on Lacey Evans by the time the referee turns around, and Bayley gets the victory. Lacey Evans obviously blaming Charlotte by this point. So Bayley's already at the top of the ramp with her championship, smiling because she knows she's got one over these heels, which is great. It's very smart. And then Lacey turns on Charlotte. Charlotte beats down on Lacey Evans, which looked like we were just about to have a Lacey Evans Charlotte Flair team up to take on for the tag team titles. But no, Charlotte destroys her. And a great twist, something I wasn't expecting, because by the time Charlotte was on commentating, she was so much praising Lacey Evans, but by the time the match ended and Lacey attacked Charlotte, that had already died, and that was such a nice little twist. Again, like I said, Bayley's just been booked absolutely brilliant. I love this new Bayley we're getting. So for me, I am going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. Everything just felt full, and this is what you want on SmackDown Live. Just brilliant, smart champions, just smart, well booked matches. I loved it. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5. And this led us to the main event of the night, and it was R-Truth and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Elias, the new 24/7 champion. Pretty much, Roman comes out, R-Truth's obviously still injured from the beatdown from Elias, Shane O'Mac and Drew McIntyre. R-Truth's limping down. And he's attacked again by Elias and Drew McIntyre and Shane O'Mac before the match starts. Roman goes back to save his partner. He dominates this part of the match for the beginning part. Elias and Drew McIntyre start to kind of work together a little bit better. Roman does tag in R-Truth because R-Truth is... It looks like they're going to get the victory at this point. Then the heels use the injured R-Truth to finally get an upper hand. They finally do. They work R-Truth from... for a long time. R-Truth selling so well here. Looks like any time he could be pinned to lose it for him and Roman Reigns. We finally get the hot tag. Roman just absolute dominant. Superman punch on Drew McIntyre. Drew tries to go for the Claymore kicks. Just falls onto the table. He smashes... He Superman punches Shane as well. So Shane gets taken out. And then spear on Elias. 1, 2, 3, Roman and R-Truth win. Drew McIntyre and Shane O'Mac out top of the ramp. By this point, Roman looks up. He spears Elias again. He just tells R-Truth to drag himself over to Elias. R-Truth pins Elias. R-Truth is now again the 24/7 champion. I actually like that ending. I actually like that Roman pinned, took down Elias so R-Truth could win back the 24/7 championship, because I think R-Truth holding that title is fun. I know it's silly, I know it's just for viewership, but it does work in some way, and if you don't enjoy it, you just... What is wrong with you? It is a fun part of the show, in my opinion. It was a standard tag team match. I think that, babyface overcoming the heels was well worked, and obviously Roman being the top star. I'm just worried that they're overbooking Roman to be OP again, and I hope they don't. But yeah, enjoyable main event. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown Live for this week. And now I've got to try and work out who won. So first things first, let's talk about Raw for a minute. I think Raw was a good show-ish. There was a lot of bad bits in it, like 45 minutes without, without wrestling, actual wrestling, just a brawl and a promo segment. The Roman Reigns cousin bit with Shane O'Mac, that was atrocious. There's a bit which you don't hear on the YouTube video. You hear it on the Sky. If you record it like I did live from Sky, you hear the fans chanting AEW before Sami says it, and that's when Roman says his cousin. The Sami Zayn bit mentioned AEW. It is good. It is great. It's a great pop for Sami. Something's gonna happen now. But yeah, apart from that, Cesaro versus Ricochet was the best match of the night on Raw. The Sami bit, the Brock Lesnar boombox briefcase, I love that. I just love it. I don't care. Fight me. If you don't agree, I don't care. I honestly don't. It is awesome. So, but apart from that, Raw was pretty standard. So I'm going to give Raw a 2 out of 5 stars. I think it's got a lot to do to get back to tops, and I think they should be taking a lot more for what AEW managed to do and use it. I think they need to look at what their competitors are doing, and they need to evolve. I honestly think Raw needs to evolve. Looking on SmackDown Live, though, I think majority of the show was good. I think that the KO Kofi Kingston opening bit was fantastic. I can't wait to see where that leads to. I think Bayley versus Lacey Evans and that twist was absolutely brilliant. A standard main event for a tag team match, that's fine. We had, Shane O'Mac Appreciation Night. That was really good. I mean, really building up the heels well in that bit for me. And hopefully we see Sonya Deville turn on Mandy Rose. The only bit was that, Daniel Bryan being correct about the SmackDown tag team division. Yes, it makes Daniel seem more and more legitimately like a smart heel, but it just, again, you're burying your whole tag team division in that one promo. So for me, I'm going to give SmackDown Live for this week a 3 out of 5 stars. And it seems like SmackDown wins again this week. But yeah, what was your favourite part from Raw or SmackDown? Leave it in the comments below. And like I said at the start of this video, if you do like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalkYouTube. That's a U and a tube. And if you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.